ओ ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे। रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। श्रीरामाय नमस्तुभ्यं कृपया तव शक्यते सुखेनाभ्यसितुं लब्धं ज्ञानं दैनिकजीवने। जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद। 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 श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हरि ओम। Vedanta is a journey of self-discovery. And when we say discovery, it is understood that discovery is about something which already exists. It's already a matter of fact. It is not going to create anything new, but it's only going to reveal something which we have not been paying attention to, or something which was not known to us. When we say Newton discovered law of gravity, Means law of gravity was there before. It became known to us because of Newton. In the same way, our nature as Satchidananda Swarupa is going to be discovered by us. It is not something which was not there before and will suddenly come into being later. It has been there all the time, but my attention has been somewhere else. And not knowing this fact that I am Ananda Swarupa, I am nature of happiness, I have spent so many years, so many janmas trying to look in the wrong place for happiness. After studying Vedanta, we should be able to see the result of this knowledge in our life. And that is what we have been seeing elaborately through this text Pujya Guruji has been unfolding for us. And it's a valid expectation to have, because we want to see result of all the things that we do, right? Like let us say there is some youngster who says, he's going to the gym every day. But even after going to the gym, he starts panting after climbing one staircase, one rung of stairs, and gets sick very frequently. Then we say we need to revisit your health plan, because we are not seeing the result of this knowledge. In the same way, for us also, we have been studying Vedanta for a long time, or some of us have started studying right now. Our end result is that I should be able to go through life without lots of ups and downs, without lot of getting affected by circumstances around me. For that, it was said, it is possible. Vedanta is not making a claim which is very far-fetched, which is very idealistic, something that cannot be owned up by us. But it needs efforts from our own side. And this is where Pujya Guruji had pointed us to the need for readjusting my attitude towards body, mind, intellect, and ahankara. To put it simply, I should be able to think about others before I think about myself. Lot of karma comes and goes in our life. Karma means actions. Morning till evening, we do a lot of actions. So many places we do. There are some special karmas that come and go. Some occasions you call, some kind of whatever. It is for a certain period of time that we have some special karmas that we do, and it goes. Karma here meaning actions. But this sadhaka is now wanting to translate every karma into karma yoga. Same actions, nothing has changed in his life. But one switch has happened inside, that he has started realizing that I need to have some change in my attitude with which I'm doing all the karmas. Okay. So karma will come and go. But that inner unfoldment that will happen through karma yoga will stay with me. Stay with me not only in this janma. If there are other janmas, that unfoldment will carry even there. Okay. I said if because students who are studying Vedanta, our goal should be this janma only, right? Not hoping that I will do something in other janmas. But the point is that whatever unfoldment has happened through karma yoga, that is going to stay longer. Karma will come and go. Different events will happen. Different circumstances will come. Different, jobs will come and go. But my attitude with which I have been serving there, that will help me unfold from within. And in this whole process, Puju Guruji said in this previous verse that if we have Atmani Pujya Bhava, means this ahankara, if it is having too much attention on oneself, it will become an obstacle on our spiritual journey. One Mahatma had very beautifully said that the gap which is there between the opinion we have about ourselves and the opinion that the world has about us is a measure of stress that we live in. Because our opinion might be here, right, about ourselves, and the world might not have a similar opinion. It could be somewhere here. So that gap will always be very stressful. This is that Atmani Pujya Bhava. And Puja Gurudev put this in a simple quote. He said, don't put the keys of your happiness in somebody else's pocket. Okay, so Atmani Pujya Bhava is going to give me a lot of stress. But we should understand this in the right context. We are not talking about Hina Bhava also. Means not talking about low self-esteem. What is being pointed here is not having wrong expectations from the world about ourselves, that somebody should praise me, somebody should say something. So that expectation, if it is not there, here it is said, it will help us on this spiritual path. Now, it was said in the previous verse that this ahankara, which is badaka ahankara, badaka means that will put me into bondage. Because it is going to strengthen my doership and enjoyership. Okay, why it will put me in bondage? Because it will strengthen more of this kartrutva and bhoktrutva. On one side, there is strong doership, enjoyership. And on other side, Vedanta is telling me I am akarta, non-doer. So then obviously it is, mismatch that I'm trying to, and this is sincere effort of this sadhaka because we have a journey to walk through. So that is why it was said, we should divinize this kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Instead of having Atmani Pujya Bhava should be in Bhagwan. And we will see in the next verse how to become a Sadhaka Ahankara, going from Badaka Ahankara to Sadhaka Ahankara. And this we will realize more and more that when the quest becomes sincere to see result of knowledge in our life, we realize this is the small adjustment which was needed. Otherwise it is like having our handbrakes on, one foot on the brake, and then trying to press this gas pedal. No matter how hard we try to press, we don't seem to be moving forward, right? So then Vedanta comes and tells us that there is a way out. Now, what is that way out? It is this next verse, verse number 16. We will chant together, or first we will lead and repeat and then chant together. Ishvarasyaiva dasoham, Ishvarasyaiva dasoham, na paresham kadachana, na paresham kadachana, matiritthammo mochayati, matiritthammo mochayati, kamana karma bandhanat, kamana karma bandhanat, ईश्वरस्यैव दासोऽहं न परेषां कदाचन मतिरित्थं मोचयति कामना कर्म बन्धनात्. अहम ईश्वरस्य एव दासः न परेषां कदाचन. Means I am the servant of Bhagwan alone and never of anyone else. Itham matihi kamana karma bandhanat mochayati. This attitude releases us from the bondage of desires, actions, and bondage. Means bondage of desires and actions. So we saw that from Rajasic, Tamasic Ahankara to Akarta, the bridge in between is Sattvic Ahankara or Sadhaka Ahankara. Means we saw in the last class that Ahankara loves to wear many hats. So the best hat it can wear is this one, which is more towards its own, growth you call, or it's on the right path. Okay. So that is our Sadhaka Ahankara. Now it is said, Ishwarasya eva dasaha aham. Right. So in Vedanta, there are two words. One is eva, another is iva. Eva means alone. I am dasa of Bhagwan alone, not of anybody else. And Eva is in a different context. So we don't need to see that right now. But Eva is, that is the emphasis here, that my Lord, Master is Bhagwan alone. Okay, that is Ishwarasya Eva Dasoham. And, in our invocation we chant, Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate. In that one quarter is Ramasya Dasosmiham. And you can put any Ishtadevata there. What we are praying there is, Bhagwan, may this reflection be an offering at your feet. Means may we speak and may we listen without having Badaka Ahankara come in between. So that was the main idea when we chant this, invocation verses. Ishwarasya eva dasoham. And this bringing Bhagwan in is the most easiest way for us to walk on this path. Goswami Tulsidas Ji has written one doha where he says, Ghar कीन है, घर जात है, घर छांडे घर जाई. Tulsi ghar ban bichahi, Ram prem pur chai. What he's saying there is, ghar कीन है, घर जात है. Means if I hold on to material things or this house very dearly, then my real house goes away. Means I will never attain what I want to attain in terms of my spiritual progress, or however you want to put it. So if I hold on to this house, real house goes away. And then he says, Ghar chhande ghar jai. If I leave this house, then this house goes away. Means if I go to the forest, leaving this house, then this house completely goes away. He says, what is the solution? In between this forest and the house that I'm living in, build house for Bhagwan Rama. Tulsi ghar ban bichahi, Ram prema pura chai. Means that is our bridge in between to hold on to both of these things. So Ishwarasya eva dasoham. And previous verse said it was about strong kartrutva that was holding us back. So here the Karma Yoga Siddhanta is, instead of being karta, we become karana. Karana means instrument. Rather than being doer, we become instrument in Bhagwan's hands. All of you must have seen the Ramayana serial that comes. In India, it was very popular. And I think even in this lockdown time, they had this telecast of this entire Ramayana serial. And the director of this entire episode was Ramanand Sagarji. And this serial was so popular, all of you know, that during that time, nobody could be seen on the streets. And after this popularity, wherever Ramanand Sagarji went in India for felicitation, all the flowers used to be sold out. So no flowers available on that day in whichever city he used to go to. That was the popularity of this serial. Once Ramanand Sagarji was in Los Angeles. He was addressing one of the felicitation programs. And there he said some beautiful things. So, first he said, initially I felt very responsible and I felt that I'm going to achieve such a huge task. But he said, gradually, God made me realize that I really don't have the talent and ability to accomplish these things. Some divine intervention is needed. And he gave an example. He said, if a pen is kept on a paper, even for 1,000 years, if it is kept like that, no word is going to be written. He said it needs a hand which will come and lift this pen and write it. And he said, I am that pen. At the most, if I want to, at best, if I want to say I am anything, I am that pen. And Bhagwan Rama is the one who is holding that pen and making me come up with these things. This is Karana Bhava. When we look at the humility of such sadhakas who have achieved so many things, but their way of looking at it is I am Karana in Bhagwan's hands. And we see so many devotees who just exemplify this fact more. One is our own Hanumanji. When he, no matter what he does, he always makes sure that he remembers who's the Duta, whose Dasa he is. Even when he reminds Ravana in the court, he says, Ravana asks him to introduce himself. And Hanumanji introduces him as Duta of Bhagwan Ramchandraji. That is this Ishwarasya Eva Dasoham. And this Ahankara is such, Sadhaka Ahankara, it won't do any harm to a sadhaka. In fact, it will help more and more. So it's okay to protect this Ahankara in that sense. Our Sutikshnaji in one prayer says this, that, oh Bhagwan, may this Ahankara of being your Dasa never go away. Asa abhiman jai jani bhore, मैं सेवक रघुपति पति मोरे. Means I am your Dasa, this abhimana should never go away. Okay, then it is said, na paresham kadachana. One aspect is to say, I am not, or I am Bhagwan's Dasa. Another is to say, I am not Dasa of anyone else. And we see this in different compositions of different saints, where they show this helplessness you call, or Dasa Bhava, only in front of Bhagwan. When it comes to world, they are Swami. But when it comes to Bhagwan, it is Dasa Bhava. And many a times we realize that this Badaka Ahankara, which is there, right? It goes around with a lot of vulnerability. That is what we saw in the last class also. And it is sometimes fearing opinions from the world. Either it is rejection or some kind of negative, opinion from the world. But this Ahankara, Sadhaka Ahankara, is the one which says that no matter what response I get from the world, my Bhagwan is never going to reject me. Means my real master is always going to own me up. So that itself, is a great source of inspiration, you call, to walk on this path. Or it is a great source of stress reliever. That is why this next word is very important. Guruji says, this kind of attitude, mochayati. Mochayati means in present tense. It is not future tense. Means this kind of attitude liberates right away. Right away in what sense? That right then and there, surrender will bring a relaxed mind. surrender to Bhagwan will immediately bring a relaxed mind. The moment we realize somebody is there much more stronger, much more capable of guiding me, I become more relaxed. So then, what is it going to liberate me out of? It is said, Kamana Karma Bandhanat. Desires and karma, actions, this bondage of actions. Now, common thinking is we entertain desires, okay, do actions, and when we get the desire, we are happy. I mean, when we fulfill the desire, we are happy. So, where is bondage in this? Right? Entertain a desire, work hard to fulfill that desire, attain it, and then you are happy with that thing. What is this bondage and coming out of this bondage? One thing we should think about is these desires never end. Devahuti ji tells to Kapil Bhagwan, Nirvinnaha nitaram bhuman asadindriya tarshanat. Means I have done so many things, but I just feel that these desires don't end at all. No, they are continuously increasing more and more and more. So that is this kamana karma bandhanat, it will liberate us. Means first what will drop is kamya karma. Desire prompted actions will start dropping off. And then will come, what will remain is nitya naimittika karma. Whatever is my duty, those karmas I will keep on doing. And gradually with that purity of mind, when we study Vedanta, do satsang, in that way, this karma bandhana will come to an end. Means sadhaka ahankara will get me closest to enjoying the result of this knowledge. In terms of my vasanas going down, vasanakshaya and manonasha. Manonasha is, you say, a beautiful, trouble-free mind. And vasanaksha is no inner pressure of vasanas. So both these things are needed along with clear knowledge. So with this sadhaka hankara, we will be able to enjoy the result of this knowledge in our lives. Now it is the next verse, which is talking about if I'm not body, I'm not mind, I'm not intellect, I'm not ahankara, then who am I really? Because it is not just enough to negate. Actually, it is the method is just like that. But what happens is there could be a chance of the student going into void. He might say, okay, I'm not this, I'm not this, maybe I'm nothing. Shunyam. So for that, now we will see what is my real nature. Dehadibhyah upadibhyah देहादिभ्य उपादिभ्यः परात्मा भिन्न एव सः परात्मा भिन्न एव सः सच्चिदानन्दरूपोऽयं सच्चिदानन्दरूपोऽयं ब्रह्मरूपः सनातनः ब्रह्मरूपः सनातनः देहादिभ्य उपादिभ्यः परात्मा भिन्न एव सः सच्चिदानन्दरूपोऽयं ब्रह्मरूपः सनातनः देहादिभ्यः उपादिभ्यः परात्मा भिन्न एव सः मीन्स सः परात्मा देहादिभ्यः उपादिभ्यः भिन्न एव means this atman, the self, is different from body, mind, intellect, and ahankara. But that is not sufficient. Then comes the next line which says, Satchidananda Rupah Ayam Brahma Rupah Sanatana. This Atman is of the nature of Satchidananda and it is Brahma Swarupa. It is infinite and it is Sanatana. means it is eternal in time. We saw that Vedanta will start where we are, right? So first it will talk about body, mind, intellect, ahankara, and then say you are not this, you are not this, you are not this. What remains at the end of negation of all this is what I am. Sakshi Chaitanya. That is my true nature. And before we go into the verse, a little bit about method in which Vedanta operates. I hope all of you are with me so far. Because any text of Vedanta, any Upanishad you take, this will be the method through which the truth will be revealed in most Upanishads. First is Vedanta will go along with what we are familiar with. What we are familiar with is I, which is myself, and this world outside, right? One is I and this world outside. So the method of enquiry is going to be inquire into who am I? So then Vedanta will come and say, okay, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not ahankara. So this is understanding who am I. And different methods are there to come to this understanding. We won't go into those methods right now, but with whatever method you use, Drugdrishya Viveka you call, Avasthatraya Viveka, we come to understand that I am Atman, different from body, mind, intellect. Now Vedanta says, don't stop here. Vedanta will say, inquire also into nature of this world. If I only do inquiry about myself, then my journey is not complete. Because I will have to interact with the world no matter what, where I am. For some time, I can withdraw myself, but after some time, I will realize there is no way but I should interact with the world. So Vedanta's inquiry is thorough. Vedanta says inquire into the world. And when we inquire into the world, the question we should ask is, what is the substratum or what is the origin of this world that we see? Where did all of this come from? And there is no way we can figure this out by our own intellection, because we were not there at the beginning of creation to answer this question. So then Vedanta says, use Upanishad. Upanishads will tell us from what is the nature of this world and from where this world has come from. So any Upanishad you take, let us say Mundaka Upanishad will say this entire creation has come from Brahma. Means consciousness is the origin of creation. There are so many mantras which talk about all these mountains, the rivers, and everything was unmanifest before. And from Chaitanya, this creation has come about. Chaitanya Purvika Iyam Srushti. What it means is simply this, that whenever I see creation, whenever I see any object around, I should be able to make that connection that there is consciousness in which this is appearing. Substratum is consciousness. In that, these things are appearing. Now, this is easier done when it comes to mountains, rivers, and everything. But the challenge is when it comes to those objects and beings where we have likes and dislikes. Because this Raga Dvesha will cover this fact that there is consciousness, which is the substratum of this particular entity. This is where our sadhana is going to play the role. Am I able to make that shift to Nama Rupa, means that object, to Brahma? So, where did we start? Who am I? That was the first inquiry, right? And the result of that inquiry was, I am Atman, consciousness, pure consciousness, just a witness. Other inquiry was, what is this world that I'm seeing? Then, through Upanishads, we came to the understanding that Brahman is the substratum of this creation. Now comes the most important part. Vedanta will come and say, this Atman is Brahman. And they are not two different entities. One entity only is appearing as this body, mind, intellect, and the same entity is appearing as this creation. The reason I went into this is that this particular shloka talks about this way of thinking. It is not explicit in the shloka, but the first line of the shloka, Dehadibhya upadibhyah paratma bhinna eva saha, means it is talking about Tvam, I. Who am I? I am different from body, mind, intellect. But second line is talking about Brahma. Means I am not only conditioned by this one body, I am infinite. Sat Chidananda Rupaha Ayam. Ayam who? Ayam Atma. Brahma Rupaha Sanatana. Now, there is a word called Upadhi, right? Dehadibhya Upadibhya. So Upadhi means that which is in proximity, it throws its colors. It's not actually become one. Like, famous example in Vedanta is you have a crystal and you have a cloth, blue cloth, let us say. The crystal will start appearing blue. So that is, it has not become blue, but it's only because of the proximity with that blue cloth, it's appearing blue. In the same way, Atman with proximity of Deha, etc., it will appear as different things, but it has not become anything different. And the second line says that this Atman alone is Brahma. It is infinite and it is Sanatanaha. Means even before creation, I was there. I as Atma. Okay, I was there even before creation. This word Satchidananda, we will just touch upon briefly because it keeps coming back in a lot of discussions. Sometimes we feel Sat, Chit, Ananda are like three different things. For Brahma you call, or for Atma, whenever that word comes, Satchidananda, sometimes the notion is, oh, Sat is different, Chit is different, Ananda is different. Sat means existence. There is consciousness, which is Chit, and third is Ananda. I'm not translating Ananda yet. We will go there when we look at it. But we should understand that all three are talking about same thing. If I say the sentence, blue, big, fragrant lotus. Okay, blue, big, fragrant lotus. Now, blue, big, and fragrant are not three different things. Right? They're talking about same lotus. These three are ways of describing this lotus. So in the same way, Sat, Chit, Ananda are three different ways of describing Brahma. Why three are used? Simply put, it is like this. The student starts negating, right? Teacher told him, Dehadibhya upadibhya bhinna. Okay, he sits down, very obedient student. He will start negating now. Okay, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. Then maybe there is a chance that the student feels there is a void. Okay, it is nothing, shunyam. So then it is said, no, it is sat, means it is existing. Truth is that which is existing. So he says, okay, if it is Sat and if that is the origin of creation, everything that you told, is it like a matter? Is it inert? Then Vedanta comes and says, no, it is not inert, it is Chaitanya, Chit. It is Sat and it is also sentient, it is Chit. Student says, okay, understood. So that truth which is inside, it's a small light, it is Sat, it is there, and it is shining, it is conscious, it is nature of consciousness. Is it only limited to this body now? Then Vedanta says, no, it is Anantam, which is infinite. This infinite is translated as Ananda. So Ananda word here is infinite. Okay, so Vedanta's way of defining Ananda is infinite. And whatever we experience as Ananda in our common parlance, it is a reflection of this infinite bliss alone. Okay, we will not go too much into detail, but it's a very beautiful phrase to dwell on. What does Sat Chit Ananda mean? And this is me, huh? Me means I. Everybody has to say to themselves, what is my nature? My nature is Sat Swarupa, Chaitanya Swarupa, and Ananda Swarupa. So that is Satchidananda Swarupaha, and this alone is infinite Brahma, which is eternal in time. Means we should become fearless with this knowledge, actually saying that no matter what happens, time cannot affect me because I am beyond time. Sanatanaha. Now, the student says, okay, teacher, I've understood. Whatever has been said here, Satchidananda Rupoha, Rupoyam, Brahma Rupa Sanatanaha. What should be the translation of this knowledge in my life? Because this is living Vedanta, right? If I have understood this Mahavakya, this is Mahavakya, by the way, what should be the result of this knowledge or translation of this knowledge in my life? Next is a beautiful verse number 18. Jnanenaiतेन शास्त्रस्य ज्ञानेनैतेन शास्त्रस्य जगत्यस्मिंश्च सर्वदा जगत्यस्मिंश्च सर्वदा आनन्दस्वामिनः सन्तु आनन्दस्वामिनः सन्तु लोकानानन्दयाचकाः लोकानानन्दयाचकाः ज्ञानेनैतेन शास्त्रस्य जगत्यस्मिंश्च सर्वदा आनन्दस्वामिनः सन्तु लोकानानन्दयाचकाः. Lokaha means all people. Shastrasya etena jnanena asmin jagati sarvada ananda swaminaha santu. Means with this knowledge of scriptures, of knowing that I am this unconditioned consciousness, may we all live as Ananda Swaminaha and not Ananda Yachakaha. May we live as masters of happiness and not beggars of happiness. That word is very powerful, actually. Beggars of happiness. And our Gurudev used to tell a very dramatic story. I will cut that story little short, but the main point we'll try to see. He used to narrate a story of one beggar who used to live on the streets. And he realized through some incidents that happened that he actually belonged to the royal family. For some reason, he had to be there when he was a child, and then he grew up as a beggar. But now he was identified as the person who belonged to this royal family, and he was taken all the way to the palace, and he became the next king of that kingdom. And he was very good at administrative matters, and he was, loved by everybody. He quickly picked up whatever had to be done as a king, and he started living his life in that kingdom. And these ministers who were there, they thought it would be nice if we can take the clothes in which we had found him the first time and put it nicely and frame it and keep it somewhere just as a memory that, from where we got this king and how great he is right now. And one day this king was passing by, and he just saw this display, of his old torn clothes. He had almost forgotten where this had come from. So he asked his ministers, what is this? So he said, Maharaj, these are the clothes that, we had, in which we had found you the first time. So the king says, he gets a nice idea. He says, oh, now I remember those days. I have a desire now. I want to go back and live in that same street and see how it feels to live there. So the minister said, sure. So he had his robes inside, the silken cloth. And over that, he wore the old cloth, of that beggar, and dressed himself just like the way he was found. And he went back to the same place where he lived. And again, everybody was happy there to see him. And, he was begging the same way like he was doing before. And people were going, and something was going on just like before. But now you look at the king. So Gurudev's point was this, that even though he is wearing the clothes of the same beggar outside, inside is that silken cloth. He's still able to be there and not beg for happiness, because he has found that happiness inside, and it is going to take him through those situations. He might be acting like a beggar, but he's not depending on those happiness anymore. That is this portion, Ananda Swamina Santu Loka na Ananda Yachakaha. After having discovered our nature as Satchidananda, may we become Swami, masters of happiness. Means our desire to go back and seek Vishaya Sukham should get reduced after discovering our nature as Ananda Swarupa. This is what was said in one stotram by Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, where he says, knowledge is that which quietens the senses. True knowledge is that which quietens our senses. And we realize that this cannot be a forced practice. It has to be a systematic evolution of thinking. Careful analysis. Whenever we study the Gita, whatever statements Bhagwan makes, right? Thinking over them again and again. That if I put all my support on Vishaya Sukham, objects, sense objects, what has it given me back? Okay, just this thinking should help us get more clarity about this aspect, that how many times they have disappointed me, objects. So he becomes more of introvert. And one of the sadhana pointer that is given is reducing thinking about joy that was gained from Vishaya. Joy gained from Vishaya meaning, to put it in a positive way, thinking more about the joy which comes from within, instead of dwelling more over joy which is coming from outside. And when sufficient thinking has gone into this particular aspect, right, of how Vishayas cannot give us complete happiness, Vedanta will work right away. Because when Mahavakya comes, that understanding you call or owning up of this knowledge becomes very easy. And Bhagwan says in Gita that no effort put in this path will go waste. No matter how slowly I'm climbing, if I climb even one step, that effort will not go waste. And this jump right between Ananda Yachaka, means beggar of happiness, to Ananda Swami, which is master of happiness, is not going to be a sudden high jump. Right? That at one point I was Ananda Yachaka, and at next point I suddenly became Ananda Swami. Although we would like it to be that way, right? It's going to be a very slow journey. It's like rather than a high jump, consider this as a staircase. You have like one step by step to climb up. So that is going to be the journey here. That some point we felt, let us say, some kind of socializing or late night was source of ananda. And some thinking went in and we thought, we ourselves analyzed that I get drained out, with this ananda, that weekend makes me weakened. So what am I actually getting out of this? So then it came to occasional socializing, partying, or whatever. Um, and then we heard some satsang somewhere, where we found that this quality of happiness we get through satsang is much more sustained, and I feel more energetic after the satsang. The ideas that we get through this shastra are much more refreshing. It sustains for a longer time. So then this sadhaka, after satsang, starts doing some seva. And with seva, he realizes that, oh, if I can work selflessly, there is even greater joy. With satsang, he will also start doing seva. And with seva, he realizes through satsang that if I bring Bhagwan into the picture, if I do my seva with devotion, there is even greater joy. Remember, we are talking about Ananda Yachaka to Ananda Swami. These are the steps that he is climbing now, gradually. And he realizes with bringing Bhagwan into the picture, that world doesn't bother him too much. Dasa of Ishvara has this cushion of bhakti to him, sufficient cushioning, that he is not getting tossed up and down, and he is able to have a calm mind, cheerful mind. And then slowly, after satsang, seva, devotion to Bhagwan, he starts doing sadhana. He will start doing some kind of japa, some meditation practice. And this joy becomes even more. He realizes that the number of variables I had for my happiness has gone down. I can be happy just with the help of my own thoughts, which are good thoughts, having a beautiful mind through these sadhanas. Okay, so then he becomes much more independent to be happy. And the final stage is Vedanta will come and say that you are witness of this beautiful mind. Means you are of the nature of happiness, and you will also be happy at mind level, because so much sadhana is done, right? So he's happy at mind level, able to go through his life because of his sadhana balam, and he's able to own up this knowledge which tells that I am nature of happiness, Satchidananda Brahma, and not this mind. So this is our journey, you call, from Ananda Yachakaha to Ananda Swami. So through this set of shlokas, Puja Guruji has beautifully summarized lot of things from Upanishads, from so many Prakarana Granthas. In nice, easy way, he has presented these three shlokas. One spoke about Badaka Hankara. Okay, Atmani Puja Bhava. It is said, let go of that. Second one was Sadaka Hankara. Become Dasa of Bhagavan. Ishwarasya eva dasoham. Na paresham, not of anybody else. And then own up this nature of truth as unconditioned happiness. Satchidananda Rupoyam Brahma Rupaha Sanatanaha. And result of this knowledge was I'm able to enjoy my own nature, my own true identity, which is happiness, infinite happiness. So with that, we will pause here. Next week, what is going to come up is a very important topic, and that is what is the nature of Bhagwan? Many a times, a lot of youngsters or even sadhakas have this question: what is the greatness or importance of knowing Bhagwan's nature in Vedanta? Or just simple questions are: does God exist? Who is he? If he exists, where is he? And how is he related to me? So all these questions will be answered in the next set of shlokas from Advaita Vedanta standpoint. What is, or you call Sanatana Dharma standpoint, because the dharma which builds is always on this philosophy. So many practices that we do are all rooted in this understanding of Bhagavan. So that we will see in the next class. We'll just do some Nama Sankirtanam before we conclude. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.